So I was asked by a friend to go over the way that I use Obsidian when I'm doing research projects. Now I do research projects at work. At home I just use my Obsidian database as sort of like a replacement for OneNote, so there's not really any linkages. But here's the mechanism by which you begin to create Obsidian notes that are linked, and then you can reveal the connections within the graph view. So the first thing we want to do is we want to make sure we've got a templates folder down here with a single note in it that looks like this. This format is pretty straightforward. What we need to do though is we need to make sure that in the template settings we've got it linked to this file. That's all we need to do with that. Let's close this. And there's one key mapping that I've remapped Control T to select a template. You don't have to do that. I think there's possibly other ways of doing this. But anyway, let's get started. So let's create a new note. We're going to call this Research Project 1. And I will do my Control T key mapping, choose the main note. And it fills in these items, and as you can see, that special syntax for title gives us the title repeated here. The areas that we've got that are important for a research project is number one is tags. Now tags has changed in the current version of Obsidian to be quite a specific format, and it's a bulleted list, so nothing complicated there. But what we'll do is we'll go ahead and add in, using the Obsidian syntax, a bulleted list. So we will do crime, we will do punishment, and we will do KFC, just to add a little interest in there. So these tags will now begin showing up in the graph view once we get to that. The next thing is to make sure that you're able to link between existing nodes. So let's put in some language here to use a clip naming convention. And you can see over here I've actually got a clip naming note already, so I'll select that and I will add a link, and it chooses it for me. It says we know that that exists, that's already in there. You can also, instead of being so mouse centric, let's see what else we got. We've got a something on the Ashes to Ashes David Bowie video. So an example is, and it isn't really an example, but if I do the double tags there, and double brackets, by the way, you'll see it kind of auto-fills the matching pair. And I can just go ahead and select one. There you go. So we now have a note, this is all in Markdown, with basically some rich content in here already. You can also add in screenshots. So let's do a quick screenshot of well, let's do a quick screenshot of this so it's nice and recursive, and I can paste that in. And this file here is now a file within the Obsidian database. You can kind of file them and move them around. One of the things I do on my work setup is I rename these images because this is not exactly a useful name. I give them the name of what they are, but I'm not going to do that for this one. And that goes ahead and gives you pasted in images from screenshots. So if you're collecting information from something that's on the internet, you'll do a screenshot. Hopefully you've got some kind of hardware button that you just tap and it does a screenshot for you. Then you'll go ahead and paste it in here and rename it according to your naming scheme and so on, so you can figure out what it is and come back to it. I don't know if there's OCR on PNGs that this is pasted in. I haven't really looked into that, but there might well be. And then the final thing is in your references. This is where you actually add in your websites. Now I don't have one saved, but I'll just I'll do the google.com. Yeah, there we go. That'll do. So it's just a link to Google, and it'll show up that way. If you actually paste in actual URLs using Control L and Control C and Control V, or Command L, Command C, Command V on a Mac, then you'll get the opportunity to put in some descriptive text before the link that says this is a link to what was going on here, and it just gives you a little bit more context. So that's the basics of creating a note from a template, adding in tags, adding in links to other notes that already exist, and adding in external links through your references. Right now you can see we got no backlinks found here. That'll change as your database builds. But the reason we do all of this is because when you go over here in the graph view, and you can see that, as I said, I'm using Obsidian as a replacement for OneNote, so I don't really have any linked notes. But you can see here, you've actually got your research project note that we just created, and the way it has relations to other things, including external sources. And if we go into the settings here and turn on tags, you'll also get in a different color the tags that are within there. What is that? There we go. Let's get rid of that. So where did it go? See, I've got some tags in there. No, it didn't do tags. Maybe tags are slightly different. I might have to do a little bit more research on that. Anyway, that's the way to create a note, the way to build the structure of the note, and we'll go back to it just one last time. And research project 1. There we go.